Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a masterclass with one very specific, highly intense goal. We are upgrading the human mind from a passive, reactive state into a fully sovereign state. We're going to explore a mental model we call the Offense OS. It's a complete rewiring of how you interact with reality, effort, and resistance. So get ready, because this is about to fundamentally shift how you look at your daily actions.
I want to start by letting this uncompromising truth really sink in. Knowledge without immediate execution is intellectual obesity. Wow. Think about that for a second. We live in this modern trap where we're just endlessly consuming information, right? Reading books, watching tutorials, gathering all this data, but we never actually take action. Well, today, we're putting an end to that.
Chapter 1, The Trap. Dismantling Intellectual Obesity.
Okay, let's dive into this. Intellectual obesity is basically what happens when your consumption completely outpaces your output. It's like watching 100 hours of coding tutorials, but never actually writing a single line of your own code. Or reading 50 books on entrepreneurship without ever launching a product. In the Offense OS, there's a brutal but absolutely necessary rule. Everything you study has to be applied immediately. Ideally, within 24 hours, or honestly, it just needs to be discarded entirely. Storing up all this unused philosophy, it doesn't make you wiser. It literally just weighs you down and creates this false sense of progress.
Because at the end of the day, action equals truth. Action is the absolute only metric of reality. Hiding behind theory, endlessly preparing, waiting until you feel totally ready before you launch, that's just the defensive mechanism. It's your brain protecting you from the friction and the potential failure of the real world. But as the saying goes, the bridge is only ever built by walking on it. You just have to take the step.
Moving on to Chapter 2, The Multiplier, the Mechanics of True Output.
I want you to consider the profound difference between effort and leverage. Effort is linear. It's digging a ditch with a shovel, right? You're trading your precious time for a direct, one-to-one result. You grind away hour after hour, and the second you stop, the output stops. Leverage, on the other hand, is exponential. It's taking the time up front to actually build an excavator. It's building systems, utilizing capital, writing software code, or leading really capable teams. The Offense OS dictates that we have to move away from the futility of pure, exhausting effort and shift towards scalable power. You build or install a system once, and you collect on it forever.
And this brilliantly illustrates the sovereign equation. Leverage is greater than intelligence, and intelligence is greater than effort. Raw grind is literally at the absolute bottom of the hierarchy. If you're only relying on effort, you're just running endlessly on a treadmill. Intelligence is figuring out how to point that treadmill in a useful direction. But leverage is stepping off the treadmill entirely and building a vehicle. You can be the absolute hardest worker in the room, but if you don't have systems and leverage, you are always going to be outpaced by someone who understands how to multiply their output.
Chapter 3, The Compass. Transmuting Resistance.
Pain is the compass. Now, what does that actually mean? Well, a sovereign operator doesn't avoid the darkness, the discomfort, or the friction. Instead, they actively use it as a directional tool. Think about that anxiety you feel when you know you need to have a difficult conversation with an underperforming team member, or the dread of starting a massive, really complex project. That resistance? It's a giant neon sign pointing exactly to where your next level of power is located. You don't retreat from it, you walk directly into it.
Look, we all love being comfortable on the couch, wrapped up in what's safe and familiar. But in this framework, comfort is highly dangerous. Comfort literally equals the acceptance and tolerance of mediocrity. If you are perfectly comfortable right now, you are just tolerating a defensive, reactive existence. You're waiting for the world to happen to you rather than imposing your will and your vision onto the world. Growth simply cannot happen in the absence of friction. It's just a fact.
Chapter 4, The Shift, Upgrading Your Operating System. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast between how most people live and how sovereign individuals operate. The Defense OS is kind of the default human condition, isn't it? Waiting for instructions, reacting defensively to an overflowing inbox, endlessly consuming social media, and avoiding pain at literally all costs. It's a sheep-like mentality of pure survival. The Offense OS, however, is wolf-like. It's all about initiating the project before you even asked. It's systematically building leverage instead of just working hard, executing ideas immediately, and actively seeking out the resistance that makes you sharper.
When you actually observe someone running the Offense OS, their life looks like pure freedom. They seem completely in control of their time and their resources. But you have to understand, that freedom is forged in a voluntary, relentless descent into doing the hard things systematically. It's the result of continuous, pure offense, which entirely eliminates the need for that chaotic, defensive scrambling most people just call life. They aren't running around putting out fires because they built a fireproof system to begin with.
Chapter 5. The Core, Mental Point of Origin.
The mental point of origin is the ultimate anchor here. It means becoming the sole reference point of your very existence. You are the sun, and your reality, your systems, and your outcomes, they all orbit around you. You have to demand of yourself right now to stop outsourcing your point of reference, your validation, and your sense of reality to external forces. Whether that's your boss, the shifting market, or just the noise of society at large, you are the origin point.
Holding this mental point of origin, especially when nobody is watching, requires 100% inside-out responsibility. I mean, if a project fails, if the market shifts unexpectedly, or even if a massive obstacle pops up on a quiet Tuesday morning, zero victimhood is tolerated. You don't blame the economy, you don't blame your colleagues, you require absolutely no external validation to know you're on the right path, and you take complete unromantic ownership of every single outcome in your life, period.
Chapter 6. The Installation, Unromanticized Daily Practices. Let's move to the practical side and see how this actually builds. To really install the Offense OS, you need a machinery of habits, because philosophy without mechanics is totally useless. So here are your 3 non-negotiable daily systems: the morning ignition, the disqualification cut, and the nightly review.
First up, the morning ignition. Before you check your phone, before you open a single email, before the world can dictate its chaotic terms to you, you absolutely must establish dominance over the day. You declare that offense is your normal state. You consciously reject those defensive impulses, and you immediately execute one proactive leverage move. That could mean drafting a critical strategy document, automating a repetitive task, or just taking a decisive action that multiplies your future output. You set the tone.
Next is the disqualification cut. Throughout the day, your old psychological wiring is going to try to pull you back. It happens to all of us. You'll feel a defensive impulse. You know, that urge to hide, to procrastinate, to avoid friction. When you catch yourself slipping into defense, you have to ruthlessly cut it out in real time by doing the exact opposite immediately. If you're afraid to make that hard phone call, you dial the number right that second. If you want to delay sending a difficult email, hit send immediately. You have to break the pattern of hesitation.
Finally, we have the nightly review. This is an isolated ritual of extreme self-accountability. In those quiet moments right before sleep, you need to ask yourself, where did I play offense today? Where did I actually slip into defense? What darkness or heavy responsibility did I own? And most importantly, what leverage am I going to build tomorrow? This right here is where the true cost of sovereignty is measured. It's in those quiet moments when absolutely nobody is clapping for you.
So the crucial point is, there is no finish line. This isn't some 30-day challenge or a temporary productivity hack. No, this voluntary descent into responsibility and leverage simply becomes your permanent sovereign normal. Over time, you undergo this really profound identity shift. You actually stop perceiving these proactive actions as hard work and realize they're simply the necessary mechanics of your newfound freedom.
Well, we've reached the end of this masterclass explainer, and I want to leave you looking directly into the mirror of your own ambitions. Let me ask you, are you actually willing to become the sole reference point of your existence? Are you ready to abandon the deceptive comfort of the Defense OS and step fully into the uncompromising responsibility of the Offense OS? Take this framework, install these daily practices, and please stop waiting for the world to happen to you. Remember, your sovereignty begins the exact moment you take action.